In 1943, the government seized Nikola Tesla's most dangerous invention, a healing technology that threatened Big Pharma's entire empire. They buried it for 100 years, but it's back, and over 1,000 people worldwide are using it right now. When you join Tesla Club, you get your own Tesla plasma device, 5 times more powerful than the original Violet Ray and built to last. You join a private Telegram group where members share breakthroughs daily. Stroke recoveries, cancer reversals, chronic pain gone in minutes. These aren't stories. These are yesterday's posts. You get lifetime support from people who've been where you are. Technical guidance, therapeutic protocols, a group that actually understands. And you get access to hundreds of documented experiments, real members, real results, real transformations. No prescriptions, no waiting for permission, no begging doctors who don't believe you. Just you, your machine, and a movement taking health sovereignty back. We're Tesla Club, private science club for self-directed healing. Visit tzla.club. Join the revolution.
Plasma. It's back!
How's it going, everyone? Hope you're well. Hope you had a great weekend. I went to Burnley to an event, like a freedom event. It was cool. I've not been to one for a while. Of course, I went to, Acapulco and spoke in Mexico and stuff like that. But in terms of like the grassroots, like small get-togethers and stuff, I've not been to one for ages. So that was nice. Like they were all the rage during the whole Rona period. Multiple reasons. I think one was, of course, there was so much censorship online. Like there's censorship online now, of course there is. But in terms of that COVID era, like if you weren't aligning with the WHO, like you were done. Like Facebook groups and stuff were just ditched left, right and center. So people had to get together and have like physical meetups. Also, I think the fact that we were told we weren't allowed to hang out with other people, we weren't allowed to interact with other humans, that was a bit of an incentive to get together and do the opposite, obviously. And it is different, isn't it? You meet someone for a beer, or if you meet someone for a chat, it's a physical meeting, isn't it? That's the human element. That's how we've always done it. We used to stand there eating rubbish cuts of meat, like literally chewing the fat with someone. And now it's mainly online, isn't it? And I understand the irony of me explaining that online, like it's not lost on me. But I much prefer in person. I think it's much better connection and stuff, because you feel the energy of someone, like you feel a vibe off someone. So it's a lot easier to judge whether that person's genuine, whether what they're saying has validity. It's a lot easier to do that when you meet someone in person. It's different online, of course. And that's not accidental. Of course, they don't want us meeting up. There's no coincidence that the protests in 2020 were very, very small, few hundred people, if that, to be fair. Some of the protests I spoke at, there were more coppers than people, and I've said that before on these videos, like it was crazy. And then what happened? They started to lift the restrictions a little bit in that summer of 2020. So people got together, and when people got together, they had conversations like, I don't know anyone. No, I don't. Do you know it? No, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? And people started to put 2 and 2 together and realised they'd been lied to on an enormous scale. And so the protests swelled. I don't believe that's a coincidence. I believe the fact that people got together and weren't just having conversations on Zoom or on FaceTime or Facebook Messenger or whatever, WhatsApp, they were actually having face-to-face conversations and, oh, hang on, what that guy is saying is resonating with me, actually, I can relate, and therefore blah, blah. Then they went down rabbit holes and all that kind of stuff. Well, everything's plugged in now, isn't it? Everything's online. Your banking's online, your shopping's online, your relationships, friendships are online, dating's online. Like literally everything is plugged in. So you think to yourself, of course, that's to disconnect people. Ironically, plugging people in is disconnecting people. Of course it is, because you're plugged into a computer system, not into a real relationship, not into a real interaction. When you check out, I don't know, a new pair of jeans, there's no interaction with the woman in the shop because you're not in the shop, you're doing it online. So there's a complete disconnect, a human disconnect, which is of course what they want. They want people isolated off in your little box, just shush, just enough education to perform, and whatever. But another element of this, I'm thinking, is the idea of getting everyone plugged in, essentially, is the idea to then unplug everyone. And that's how you create another layer of chaos. Because I was thinking about this with this Strait of Hormuz, right? So they've closed this Strait of Hormuz, and it's caused all these problems and soon to be expanded problems in terms of manufacturing and production and food supply and all this kind of stuff, because, you know, if you can't get the fuel for your car, well, then they can't get the full fuel for their tractor or for their lorry or whatever. And you think, well, if I go back 200 years and they close the Strait of Hormuz, so what? Wouldn't affect anyone in Britain, wouldn't matter. You know, I'm in Derbyshire, I'm in a coal field. We've got our own coal, we used to produce it. We've got our own gas in the North Sea, we used to drill for that. We've got oil fields in Derbyshire. A lot of people don't realise that, but we do. So you produce your own stuff. So you'd go, oh, I've just read in the Times they've closed the Strait of Hormuz. Have they? What's for dinner? Whereas now, it brings everything down. And of course that's the plan, but it's because we've stopped producing our own stuff. So essentially for me, that's the same as taking away the relationships and plugging yourself into something else. So now we are reliant on that something else. Well, if you think about it, everything you do really is online. It's reliant on that system working. Your banking is online, as I say, your food shop, your clothes shop, you know, even filling in forms for applying for things in terms of government stuff, a passport, it doesn't matter, everything is online now. Well, that's an awful amount of power to hand to someone that can pull out the plug on that. Now, I understand that they want everyone online and they want everyone in that sort of, you know, digital system for digital ID and the social credit score and all this sort of stuff they want to bring in and are bringing in. I get that. But I'm wondering if by getting everyone into the system online, everyone is connected, bang, 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 everyone's plugged in, that then to create the problem that will then lead to the digital ID, will lead to all of this stuff, is actually to then unplug it. So it's almost like you plug everyone into a system, you then unplug it, which causes absolute chaos, and then you plug them back in again. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? It's nice being plugged into the system, isn't it? Yeah. You know that brief period you were unplugged? Oh, it was hell, wasn't it? I know. Trust us, stay in the system. Now, I've mentioned this a few times in terms of stuff like YouTube. YouTube was a perfect example of that plugging into the system. Because what happened was conspiracy theorists, political commentators, whatever you might be, content creators of all different kinds, were, you know, they were struggling, they were putting up posters for meetings and gigs and everything else, and like we're all like trying to get local community to come out and watch you do your stand-up or watch you do your talk at Speaker's Corner or whatever. Then suddenly this platform came along. Come here, got all this whole infrastructure provided for you, and it's free, which means you're the product. So you can come on here and you can say what you like. You do what you like. You can go down as many rabbit holes as you want. You can preach as much as you want. You can sing as much as you want, perform as much. You can do what you want. And everyone went, whoa, that's amazing. And it was. So everyone built their business on it. Everyone built their livelihood on YouTube. All these podcasts and channels and documentary channels, all this sort of stuff. Everyone built their... And then what they did is they very subtly changed, well, not very subtly, changed the terms and conditions to, you know, we've built you this whole thing and we've plugged you into it, and now you're dependent on it because you've lost all that stuff. You don't do that grassroots stuff anymore. You don't put posters up and go out with a bullhorn. That stuff's done. You're not a Speaker's Corner anymore, son. You're here. And you're dependent on the livelihood that comes from the advertising. Well, now we've changed the terms and conditions, so you can't say what you used to say. You can say a little bit, but you can't say what you used to say. You certainly can't say that, and you certainly can't say that, and you certainly can't say that. And if you do, we'll kick you off. We'll unplug you. And of course, they did that to lots of people. Now, what I'm watching now is that exactly same thing happening with X, where Twitter was the way it was, where you couldn't say certain things. Then suddenly they said, oh, you know, you're free to speak. Of course, algorithms control what people hear, but whatever. You can go on there and you can say what you like. and you had influencers coming out saying, look how much money I made on X this month. Oh, mate. And everyone went, oh, wow, I'll do that. So they built their businesses on there. They built their businesses doing spaces and things like that. Well, is it too much of a stretch then to ask the question, will they not just pull the same thing there? Almost certainly. But on the wider, like sort of nationwide and global level, where everything is reliant on us being plugged into this system, you know, even just little things like the banks. Like a little old lady wants to go and pay some money into the bank. Sorry, we can't. All the banks are closing, aren't they? Everything's online now. And that's done intentionally, of course. So we're all now being plugged into this system that they want us in long term, but by pulling the plug on us, creating the carnage with that, then that will then suck everyone back into the system again once they can get it back online after the chaos. And I do wonder whether that's the plan here, folks. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And it made me think about it after yesterday, after, you know, spending a few hours with people chatting, real, like proper face-to-face conversations about solutions and about the world and theories and ideas and all that kind of stuff. So much better than doing it online. Which I get, like, I know the irony of me doing it like this, but I wonder if that's what we should do, folks, whether we should organise more meetups, more get-togethers, because like I said earlier, there were loads during Rona. Like, you had all the stand in the park stuff and loads of other organisations as well all over the country. People were getting together and having meetups like freedom hubs and things like that. Well, they've kind of tapered off. Like, a few of them are still going, but most of them have tapered off and people have kind of gone back to doing stuff online again. Well, maybe it's time for us to meet up, because actually if shit hits the fan and, you know, you're struggling, it's no good knowing a farmer on Facebook, right? Do you know what I mean? Who lives in Madagascar, ain't gonna help much. Whereas if you know the local one and you know the local, you know, doctor even, or whatever, the local builder or plumber or you know, someone that can do a tradie of some description that can help if there's problems, as opposed to just having people online. I think that's what we need to do. I think we need to build more relationships. And I think that's good for society anyway. You know, for us to actually go back to having real life friendships other than ones that are online. Look at me, I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. Friends? Are they friends? 10 of them are friends, mate. The rest of them are people that comment on stuff. Most don't even do that. Half of them you don't even know. You know, it's not real. None of it's real. Well, is anything real? That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, that's what my takeaway was. The wind's brutal today. That's what my takeaway was from this event in Burnley, was like, we need to do this more. Because it doesn't cost anything. Just get a load of people together and have a chat. That used to be what it was like, wasn't it, in the old days? Like, I'm old enough to know when you used to go to pubs and they used to have people in. And people used to have conversations and talk about the world and stuff. Let's go back to that. And also you'll find that you get other victories off the back of that, like the hospitality industry, like pubs. Pubs that are dying suddenly start doing better because people are actually going to them and having conversations with each other. Because we can bypass their system if we refuse to play in it, if we refuse to be part of it. Like I'm saying, go back 200 years and close the Strait of Hormuz, no one gives a toss. We've just allowed ourselves to be sucked into the game, plugged into the system, so that they can pull the plug at any point. They can close the Strait of Hormuz, they can fake a cyber attack and pull the plug on us. Well, actually, if we're not in that system, or at very least we dabble in that system, we're in that system now having this conversation, but we only dabble in it, we're not dependent on it. We've got other relationships, real life relationships outside of this. That's just my thoughts, folks.
Thank you very much for watching and subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you'd like to take a look at all the other things that I do, the content like weekly shows and documentaries that I create, please check out my Linktree link in the description below.